Hello, and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, divorce support for dads, where we help dads create a healthy and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude Sandoval, and I'm your host. I created this podcast in the Divorced Advocate community as a result of my own high conflict divorce, and because you as a dad deserve all the resources necessary to thrive through this challenging time. I encourage you to check out our website at thedivorcedadvocate.com, where there are resources that correspond to this episode, as well as free access to our membership community, where you will find live meetings, free workshops and courses, private discussion groups, and more. And now, on to this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to the show. I am so happy that you are here and with me again this week. Our topic we are going to be talking about is another episode of practical advice. We haven't done one in a while, and this one is about navigating the dating scene after divorce. We're going to be taking this from the perspective of really preparing for navigating the dating scene after divorce. So if you're in the midst of your divorce, and this is probably potentially the last thing that is on your mind, still hear me out today, because a lot of what you can a lot of what is going to be necessary to jump back into the game is going to take place preparing prior to actually pulling the trigger and starting to date. And we're going to talk about it kind of from that lens today. But before we get rolling on the topic, let's welcome our new members, Aaron, Daniel, Ryan, and Ben, to the Divorced Advocate community. If you are not part of the community, get involved. Check out the website at thedivorcedadvocate.com. All kinds of resources, whatever you might need at whatever level you are at, from free to paid. Check it out. The divorce quiz is a great one that will give you an idea of where you're at in your divorce compared to tens of thousands of other people who have taken it. As well as the app or the membership site if you want to dive into something much more intimate and involved with some of the group meetings and other resources there. So check it out at thedivorcedadvocate.com. And as always, please leave us, if this is not your first time listening, if you've listened to multiple episodes, please leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you are listening on, or at least leave us a star rating. It helps other dads that are listening just find the show and feel comfortable in tuning in and getting the support that they need and deserve. Okay, practical advice, navigating the dating scene after divorce. And dating after divorce can definitely be a daunting prospect, especially for us dads, with the responsibilities towards our kids and the emotional aftermath of a divorce. Re-entering the dating world takes some careful consideration and preparation. So what I did is I drew these insights from the book called The Practical Guide to Women: How Men Can Manage Risk in Dating and Marriage. It's by a clinical psychologist right here in Denver, Colorado, named Shawn T. Smith. You've heard him on the show at least 2 or 3 times in the past. He's a brilliant man, and his book is highly recommended. It's called The Tactical Guide to Women: How Men Can Manage Risk in Dating and Marriage. And pretty much the first half of it is talking about what we're going to talk about today. And so here are some of the most important aspects for us dads to focus on when preparing to date again. And the first one, as you may have guessed, is emotional readiness. We need to do some healing first. Before we dive back into the dating pool, ensure that you have healed from the emotional impact of your divorce. And this doesn't mean that you're going to be 100% healed from everything, but processing lingering anger, sadness, or guilt is essential. Again, that doesn't mean that those things won't ever come up again. It also doesn't mean that the dating process won't trigger some of those things. Excuse me. You have to bear with me today. I got a little bit of a scratchy throat, so I'm going to be taking some pauses and drinking some water. But the emotional baggage can negatively affect your new relationship. So make sure to take the time to address these feelings. And I've heard people talk about different time frames, take 3 months for every year that you were married, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know that there is a perfect time frame for dealing with this healing and making sure that you're emotionally ready. Also, the process of dating can be therapeutic and helpful, provided that, and we're going to talk about being upfront and open about what you're doing and what you're going through, is conveyed to the other person. The other part of the emotional readiness is making sure that you've done some self-reflection. Reflect on your past relationship to understand what went wrong and what lessons can be learned. This introspection is going to help in avoiding the repetition of past mistakes, paving the way for healthier future relationships. And take it from me, in that if there was a relational dynamic that was happening in your marriage and you did not take the time to really understand and study and self-reflect on that relational dynamic is going to continue in your future relationships, because you are part of that relational dynamic. And so you're going to continue to act, and you're going to continue to attract other people that will work in harmony with that unhealthy relational dynamic. And so after a while, I finally figured out that the common denominator was me, before I started to really understand and do some of this healing and some of this self-reflection. And I can tell you, since then, the quality of my relationships has improved, and the understanding of my part in the relational dynamics has been incredibly helpful in that. So make sure that you are emotionally ready to go. And again, it doesn't mean you have to be 100% emotionally ready. It doesn't mean that you've got to have everything perfectly in line and know what you want or how you want it or anything. I mean, going through the dating process is going to be part of that too, and it could be helpful. All right, the next aspect is paying attention to the children's well-being. Obviously, prioritizing our kids, because their needs and well-being should always come first, and their stability and emotional health are paramount when you start dating again. And so, and the second part of that is communicating with them about that and discussing your dating plans with your children in an age-appropriate manner, of course, but being honest and open about what dating means and how it might affect them will help mitigate any anxiety or confusion for them. So it's incredibly important, particularly if it's the beginning of the divorce, or just shortly after divorce, that they know and understand kind of this process and what happens. And this is also, like I said, dependent upon their ages. If they're young, they really have no idea what you are doing and how you are doing. But once they get older, and for me, it was very important to describe to them the process that I was going through and communicating with them that it was important for daddy to be able to go out on dates, to and this is still the fact, to have a social life, to have a romantic life, to have the desire to be in relation with somebody. That's all healthy. Communication, but also a healthy message to give to your children, because eventually you want them to grow up and have healthy relationships, and to be successful in their relationships. So I took it as an opportunity, because it's actually an opportunity, really, when you think about it, to demonstrate to them what that process is like, and really model it. If you're going to do it the right way, model it for them, what that you wouldn't otherwise have been able to do if you stayed married, right? Because you went through that process before they were born. So there was no way to model that for them. So it really can be an opportunity, if you want to reframe it in your mind, for them, to show them, how to go through this process, how to communicate with somebody else, how to deal with potential conflicts with the person that you might be dating, etc. So if you can reframe it that way, make sure that they're priority. Also let them know that they are a priority, and that by spending time and in going out on dates or dating somebody, etc., does not diminish your desire to be with them. And again, this is also going to help them when they get older to know that that is an okay thing for them to have their needs, and to be able to go after those needs, and to date, especially when well, I'm not going to get into that. All right, we'll just leave it at that. The next aspect would be setting boundaries, clear boundaries, establishing the boundaries regarding your dating life and your responsibilities as a father, and balancing time between dating and spending quality time with your children is crucial. Okay, so maybe I will get into a little bit of it, but this goes both for. I was talking about it in the context of with talking about it with your kiddos, and sharing with your kiddos about what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing it. But it's also important to do that with your potential whomever you're dating, whomever you might be going on a date with, or that you are in a dating relationship with. And so that takes some time and understanding as to structuring your life so that you can have this into your life, and then you can lay out for everybody what it is going to look like. And oftentimes, and I find this, and I don't know why, I find that people just don't think about it. I just had a conversation with a woman who's like, yeah, I haven't really thought about that. And I'm like, okay, well, but you need to think about this. It just can't just happen because, we're now divorced. We have we have children, we have jobs, we have lots of moving parts that go into this. So being able to understand what it is that you want, what your responsibilities are, how you're going to balance that time between spending it with your kids and dating is incredibly, incredibly important. And so, and I would go, and here's the thing, it's not romantic, right? Like if you've got to schedule time, it doesn't seem to be romantic, but that's the way that it's got to be done. And so that you can put enough effort into the relationship or to the dating process, and you can put the time and effort that you need to with kids. And sometimes I see it gets off kilter, but if you think about it and you're intentional about it and you schedule it and you communicate it, it can be very successful and beneficial for everybody. Second part of that setting boundaries is the introductions part. And I'm not going to get too much into this, but just be cautious about when to introduce a new partner to your children, and ensure that the relationship is serious before making introductions to avoid unnecessary emotional attachment for your kids. And that's, some people would say that's particularly important for younger kids, but I would say that's important all the way in every age. Just make sure that it's going to be a serious relationship. And for me now, it's really not, it's something that, unless it's somebody that I can foresee myself having a long-term relationship or a marriage with, they're not going to meet my kids. And I feel like that is a healthy way in which you can gauge whether or not you should introduce them. And then just make sure that you take the time to know that that is in fact true before introducing to the kids. And when I say in fact true, that you've made that determination in the relationship, you've actually communicated that with each other, that we are in a long-term relationship, or we are dating with the potential to get married, and what that looks like and what that process is. So just be sure with that, set those boundaries and be clear with them.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Jude with a quick reminder about the Divorced Advocate Foundation for Fathers, which is our nonprofit that helps dads through divorce with legal education, free or reduced cost coaching, and mental health resources. If you own a business or know someone who does, there's an easy way to help by connecting credit card processing through our partner program. Part of the fees go straight to the foundation with no added cost to the business, and 98% of businesses are actually able to save money on their processing fees. It's a win-win. So if you know a business that accepts credit cards, get them in touch with me by sending a warm introduction email to jude@thedivorcedadvocate.com or give me a call directly at 720-255-1021. The next aspect is choosing the right partner. Compatibility: seek a partner who is compatible with your lifestyle and values, especially concerning parenting. A partner who understands and respects your role as a father is essential for a harmonious relationship. So I touched on this a little bit, and the communication. So the communication is key about having knowing what you want. So, and then conveying your intentions to that person. So knowing what you want means that you have designed the life that you want, and you know and you live out the values that you believe in and that you have. And so those should already be in place. That all should be part of of the environment that I speak of is happening already. And then being able to convey that to somebody, prospective partner, or somebody that you're dating, becomes critical, so that then you can see if that's somebody that will fit into that lifestyle, or you'll be able to relatively effortlessly, and nothing's effortless in dating after divorce, but be able to blend those lifestyles together. And I found that this is a huge challenge, because people have all kinds of different ideas and all kinds of different lifestyles. We're at an age where we're kind of comfortable in what they are, or the opposite, which is somebody's just kind of like all over the place. And I feel like women kind of tend to be that way more, just because of their nature. Men are more linear. Men are more direct, more straightforward, more goal-oriented. Women are, the opposite of that. So being able to know what that is, and that they're compatible with that, and that you can convey that, is going to be absolutely critical. And then the second part of that, in this book, it does a great job of laying this out, but in talking about the red flags to look at, or look out for. Just be vigilant about those potential red flags, and do not ignore them. Just because you see them doesn't mean that you pay attention to them. And I'm speaking because I'm, number one person in doing that. But Shawn talks about emphasizing the importance of recognizing the behaviors that indicate a partner might not be suitable. Some of it that he mentions are jealousy, lack of empathy, or just a general dismissive attitude towards your parenting responsibilities. So pay attention to those red flags. Get the book, because it lays out some a lot of those, and it talks about mental illness, which is a big one in there as well. Talks about addictions, etc. That is a big deal as well. And so read up on it. It is a great resource for you. Actually, if you've got young men, young teen boys that are starting the dating process, I think this should be standard reading for every one of them, to know and understand, and just have an idea of how to go through the process. I don't know about your upbringing, but if it was like mine, I didn't have anybody that really spent the time to talk to me about this dating thing and how to go about dating, etc. So I kind of fumbled my way through it. Obviously, was not very successful, because got into a marriage that then ultimately was an unhealthy relational dynamic that needed to end. So you can avoid some of that. And here's another thing: is this is an opportunity for you to not only learn about yourself, but then to learn more about this process and how to get better at it, so that you can convey it to your kids. And like I mentioned earlier, by modeling exactly how it is you would want them to date, by doing it yourself. So next aspect of the next aspect to look for is communication skills. develop and maintain good communication skills, being honest about your past, your children, and your expectations in a relationship is fundamental. And then listening, be a good listener and ensure that your partner feels heard and understood. This fosters a healthy and supportive relationship dynamic. And hey guys, I just want to give you a little heads up out there. Women are not necessarily better communicators. Just because they emote does not mean that they communicate. They might get their feelings and their emotions out, but they won't necessarily get them out in a clear manner or even in a healthy manner. So hone those communication skills. One of the best books that I've read around that is Nonviolent Communication. And so if you just Google nonviolent communication, it talks about and gives you a structure for how you can communicate in an effective way. And both parties can do just what I just described, effectively communicate and also be a good listener and understand while the other person is clearly communicating to you as well. Look, it's a skill just like anything else. Dating is a skill just like anything else. So you've got to get out and you've got to practice it. So communication skills are just practicing. And to get back also to the first point that I made about this, be honest about what you're going through and what's going on in your life. And man, I'm embarrassed to say that I've dated not more than one person that was dishonest about their situation and where they're at relationally, emotionally, with many different things in their lives. And that just is a recipe for doing all kinds of damage to the other person, but also if you start involving kids, to the kids, et cetera, because having another relationship fail after divorce is difficult and challenging. I've even had some guys say that it was even harder, that first failed relationship after, because there were high hopes that there would be a change. So doing the work beforehand is going to help you to get into better spots, so that not necessarily that it ends up marriage, but it can be a healthy experience for you in order to be something that is a growth opportunity and not something that is detrimental. So those are communication skills. The next aspect is managing expectations. Set realistic expectations for your new relationship and understand that it may take time to build a strong, trusting bond, and then be patient with yourself, your children, and your new partner. Adjusting to new dynamics takes time for everyone involved. So this, again, this kind of dovetails from the communication skills part of it. And so maybe not every relationship or maybe not every dating experience you're going to have post-divorce is going to be intended to be for marriage or for a long-term relationship. It could be as simple, and I talk about this with guys all the time in our group meetings that are just starting to get out there and date again. And that is to just be open and communicative about, hey, I am just getting back into dating and I'm just looking for somebody to spend some time with and talk to and kind of get used to being with a woman again in communicating and talking and spending time and having fun or doing activities or whatever it might be. And so you'll be really surprised also how much that is appreciated by women, but also by women who will come back and say, oh yeah, me too. I was worried that, you would be upset by that, or that would be incompatible, or that would be weird for me to talk about that. But the more you communicate about those things, the more you manage your expectations. Or on the flip side, like, so for instance, for me, like now I'm more serious about that. My datings are intentional, very specific about what I want and how I want it. And I'm very clear, very early about all of those things, what my values are, what my lifestyle is like, my intentions are, what I want, what the timeframes are. I mean, it's really, it's very specific and it's very laid out, and I'm very open and forthright about it. And if it doesn't work, that's okay too. It'd be better to know sooner than later. So just manage those expectations as you get into it. The next one is personal growth. make sure to continue to work on personal growth and self-improvement by engaging in hobbies, fitness, education, or any activities that enhance your well-being and self-esteem. That can definitely help. And then maintain a strong support system of friends and family who can provide advice, encouragement, and perspective. So, you probably, if you were like me and a lot of the guys that I talked to, may have had some of these things fall away. Our hobbies fall away once we get into a marriage and family life, and maybe we didn't quite keep up with our fitness and our spiritual well-being or whatever it might be. Friends may have fallen by the wayside. This is a time to get back to that and remember to maintain that, because we need that throughout our time in a relationship, etc. We can't just be hyper-focused on the relationship or hyper-focused on one thing. Like we can't be hyper-focused just on work or on an extracurricular activity or a sport or whatever. We need to be able to have all of that cultivating in our lives in order to have it to be full and balanced, and also helping to keep it in check. So make sure that you keep keep that personal growth going with self-improvement and your support systems. And the last one is practical considerations. You've got to be financially stable and in a financial situation to be able to start doing this and dating. So if that's not the case, because divorce can have a significant financial implication, and managing your finances responsibly is critically important to do this. So if you're not yet into that position, or if you're not yet and you know it and you're going to communicate and be upfront about it, that's okay too. But really, you don't want to put yourself in positions where you're going to make things difficult for family life or maintaining the lifestyle and caring for your kids. So make sure that you do get your financial house in order, if you will. And then the other part of that is be aware of any legal implications related to your divorce and custody arrangements that might affect your dating life. So some people put some clauses in their divorce decrees about how long before introducing kids to a new partner, etc. So just be aware if you've got any of those types of things in there as well. Make sure also, I'll say, and this wasn't actually the intention when I wrote this, but pay attention to who you are dating and learn and understand what their backgrounds are. And hopefully your ex will do the same, so that you can feel comfortable with who your kids are around and spending time with. That's pretty critical. And it would seem to all of us that are rational minded that everybody would want to be doing that, but not everybody does, and not everybody is open and forthright with their past. So just pay attention to that and make sure that. So to sum it up, by focusing on these aspects, you can navigate the complexities of dating after divorce in a healthy and mindful manner. Prioritize the children's needs, your emotional health, and personal growth, and this is going to prepare you for a new relationship while ensuring stability and happiness for your family. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that it helps, and I hope to hear and talk to you again next week. Have a blessed week. Bye. To hear the rest of this episode and access the corresponding resources, visit thedivorcedadvocate.com and become a member of our community. It's free to join and will provide you with the resources you deserve as a divorced or divorcing dad. Thank you for listening. God bless, and I'll talk with you next week.